Alright, so I would say welcome back, but this is my first ever YouTube video. So if I look somewhat familiar, I have been on TikTok, but I wanted to branch out into YouTube. And for weeks I've been pondering on what kind of content I wanted to make. But my favorite kind of content to watch are Reddit stories. So since my content is typically lifestyle stuff or motherhood stuff, I figured I would cover parenting Reddits. I've done a little bit of digging and I have found some pretty interesting ones. So for my first YouTube video ever, we are going to be going over 5 Reddit stories. So if you've been on Reddit before, you know it's kind of hard to track the validity of any of these stories, but I'll read off 5 that caught my attention. Okay, so number 1, we have, am I a bad mom? I'm really struggling to connect with my 4-year-old son. Don't get me wrong, I love him to death and I would do anything for him. But let's just say that if he was the way he currently is as an adult, I would probably not be friends with him. Jeez. By nature, I'm a low-key, low-maintenance, low-energy person. I love my quiet alone time. So naturally, I found a spouse that is also that way, so we can be low-energy people together. Fast forward to now, and we have created a child that is none of those things. Well, yeah, it's a child. Babies don't know how to chill, especially toddlers. They're just figuring out the world, you know? He's quite the opposite. In fact, he's loud and a constant ball of energy and so wildly social, and I love him for all of those things, but he drains me. I work full-time Sunday to Thursday, and I always fear coming home a little bit because I have to spend my whole social battery on my customer service-oriented job, and I have nothing left to give him. I find myself yelling a lot, and we are fighting back and forth a lot, and I am not the fun parent. I go into survival mode by the end of the night so I can just make it to bedtime. My husband is so good with him. He gets right on his level and helps him out. I snap back into reality and I just think, why am I yelling at my 4-year-old? Or why can't I just be calm with him? Why do I feel so triggered all the time when I'm around him and I can't regulate myself and I can't help him? My biggest fear is that he will grow to resent me and not come to me for comfort or reassurance when he's in need because of this contention and disconnect that we are having. He is always telling me that I'm the best mom in the whole wide world, and it breaks my heart every time I hear him say that. I think I'm the worst mom in the whole wide world. Can anyone relate to this, and what did you find that helps you the most? So this one's a bit of a handful. My take is if you weren't ready for children, you definitely should have waited. I get not everybody gets to plan their babies, but she seems to be very aware that her husband and herself are very low maintenance people, very low energy people. They like a calm, quiet house. If I were them, I would have been extra careful about baby protection, if you know what I'm saying. And to me, it definitely sounds like she's taking it out on the kids. She does sound aware that work is stressing her out and it takes out her social battery. But as a parent, you have to be able to turn that off. You know how your boss always tells you separate your home life from your work life? It's the same thing when you get home. Separate that work life from your home life. That drive home should be the recharge. And the minute you open your front door, you should be ready to spend time with your babies. Because reading that, it does not necessarily sound like this is a bad kid at all. It doesn't sound like he's destructive. In any ways, she probably just needs to learn how to take a chill pill. Number 2, I was told I should not change my daughter's diapers. I, 37 male, am a medically retired military vet, and I stay at home, work from home, dad to 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. I was talking to some parents at my oldest school about our kids. A few of us still have little ones in diapers, and we were just comparing experiences. One mom, who I'm not familiar with, chimed in at some point and said that I shouldn't be changing my daughter's diapers because I'm a male, that my wife should be the only one doing it. I have a pretty thick skin and it didn't really bother me at the time, but the more I think about it and how much I love my daughter, and I would never let anything happen to her, it's starting to really annoy me that she said something like that. I'm not going to bring it up to her if I ever see her again, which I will, but it makes me want to be less friendly to her. So that one is absolutely crazy to me. Anytime I hear stories about men not changing their daughter's diapers, that unpacks a whole nother can of worms. That is your baby. And I get not wanting other men to change your daughter's diaper, But you as the father should have no problem changing your diaper. Not that this guy does, but I will never understand why other moms have that viewpoint of fathers changing their daughters' diapers. If you have that fear, you're with the wrong person. And if you have that fear of your husband, you know that you're with the wrong person. That thought should never cross your mind. But I'm totally with this guy. I would definitely be upset that somebody would even insinuate something like that towards me or my husband. And if I was his wife, I would have said something to that girl. Number 3 is a little bit long, but buckle up. Am I the asshole for telling my wife she's effing wrong and that my mom is right? Already not off to a good start. I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 32 female, for 5 years, and we've been struggling financially for the past few months. I lost my job about 3 months ago, and while I found part-time work, it doesn't pay nearly as much as before. We've had to cut back on a lot of things, but it feels like no matter what we do, we are still living paycheck to paycheck and even pulling from savings. Recently, my mom, 65 female, came over to visit and she noticed how stressed I was about the money situation. She offered some advice on how we could save money, like cutting down on takeout, meal prepping to avoid buying groceries multiple weeks at a time, and switching to cheaper brands. My mom has always been frugal, especially when she was raising me and my siblings on a tight budget. I thought it made sense, especially since we're really trying to save wherever we can. I asked if she was willing to go through our spending and show where we would cut down. My wife agreed with this. She made a whole spreadsheet about our spending. And we are spending way too much on fun stuff. We don't need Starbucks every day, and so on. It also became apparent that most of the fun spending was of my wife's. To be honest, my wife didn't take the breakdown well and started arguing with my mom that her spreadsheet was wrong. She said that my mom's way of doing things is outdated and does not work for us. She doesn't want to give up buying organic produce, and she likes having a variety in what we eat each week. I tried to explain that we need to make some sacrifices if we want to get out of this financial hole. But she keeps insisting that things weren't as bad as I was making them out to be and that we just need to ride it out. My mom left at this point and we're still arguing. And she told me she can't give up her takeout. She also went on about my mom being wrong. That's when I lost my patience and said, "You're effing wrong. My mom is right. She managed to raise 3 kids on 1 income and we can't even cut back on groceries for a few months." My wife got really upset, saying that I'm being a huge jerk for agreeing with my mom and that my mom is outdated. She's barely spoken to me since. And now I'm wondering if I went too far. But the way that I see it, we need to be realistic about our situation, and my mom's advice could really help us get back on track. Now, I don't remember if they mentioned how many kids they have in this situation. I think I'm gonna have to agree with the husband here. I get it being a girly girl. You want your fun drink, organic foods, but what I don't understand is that you can't give up the organic produce and you can justify getting Starbucks every day. Those two things are a little contradicting. You can't be a health nut and also get sugar-loaded coffee for breakfast. I do think the husband could have handled this better, but at the end of the day, he's 100% right. That girl needs to get her priorities in check. Number 4, am I a bad mom for buying my clothes at a thrift store? Hi everyone, I'm a new mom and I have a 3-month-old first child. Just a little context so you can understand my question. My husband and I are both college graduates and have okay jobs in California. We are in low middle class. As for my question, I feel so bad for buying my daughter's clothes at the thrift store. We have the means to buy her brand new clothes every time, but we are trying to save for a house and we splurge on her diapers and wipes because she has allergies. And they grow out of clothes so fast. My husband and I don't splurge on ourselves as we try to save the money for our future home, for college fund, and sensitive soaps, etc. My friend says that I'm dirty and gross for buying my daughter's clothes at the thrift store, and I should be buying the items new because I have the means. I wash them, of course, but am I a bad mom for buying my daughter's clothes at the thrift store? Honest opinions here. I need outside perspective to see if I should realign my views on not buying her new clothes. Now, I saved this one for one of the 5 stories because I buy all of his clothes secondhand, unless we see something really cute at the store. But the majority of his clothes are secondhand from Once Upon a Child, if you have those in your area, And that's because your baby is only going to be in the clothes for a couple of months and then they outgrow them. It's not like having a teenager, something that I still wear some of my clothes from whenever I was a teenager in high school. Still wearing my graphic tees, my hoodies, my pants, everything from high school. So those, you could say, have lasted me 8, 9, 10 years. But at this age, absolutely not. And if you look at the prices, paying like $10 for a onesie, it's crazy. No, I don't think you're a bad mom. I think that you are 100% justified and that your friend might be overreacting just a little bit. It seems like a stretch for me, especially if your kid has sensitive skin. I'm sure if you were to buy it brand new, you would have to wash it and all that stuff when you got home anyways. So I don't see what the difference is buying it secondhand. Now this one, again, is a little bit lengthy, but it is number 5. 7-year-old is so miserable, he ruins everything. We need help. Our 7-year-old son, my stepson technically, but I'm essentially his dad, is an absolute miserable, angry wreck all the time. Okay, that's already off to a pretty harsh start. I do not think you should be talking about a child that way. Just my opinion, let's keep going. Anytime we go anywhere or do anything, he finds a way to melt down and literally embarrass my wife and I in front of everyone. Again, first thing you need to understand is no child is ever trying to embarrass you. They don't have any concept of that. Last weekend, we went out for a nice dinner at a nice family restaurant and had one of those activity mats for kids. It was a dinosaur mat, and he had to spell out herbivore to learn what dinosaur eats plants. He argued it said herbivore because it has a capital L, has hats and feet. When we worked through it with him, he screamed at us that it's not a word and that we're lying to him, which is something that we would never do. When he starts bawling at the table, and it went on like that until he got the burger that he chose from the kids menu and said he didn't like burgers anymore and that we should have known that. So he just sat there and made everyone miserable while we ate. A couple of days ago, we went to a trampoline park. It was a great time, but when dodgeball happened, he was struggling to get a ball. So instead of asking for help or persevering, he literally melted down in the middle of the game. Like so bad that people thought he was hurt. Again, kids cannot regulate their emotions. You're talking about this kid like he's 16, 17. Now, if your 16 or 17-year-old is acting like that, yeah, get some help. But this is still a baby. I don't know. This is already upsetting me. Today, I think, was the breaking point for my wife and I. We had planned to go see The Little Mermaid all together, but he had the king of all meltdowns in the park because Mom got sunscreen in his eyes. I'd have a meltdown too, shit. He was shrieking that she did it on purpose, and then he ran off towards the path home. He was warned that if he goes past the gate that there would be no movie. He went past it anyways, and now there's no movie. He cried himself so hard that he's in bed right now sleeping. We can't do anything with him because a meltdown is inevitable. All this kid wants to do is watch TV and literally nothing else. I coach his ball team, and getting him to go is awful. He hates riding his bike because he's not good at it. He refuses to try or practice or anything really. He gets on, he falls off, then he yells at everyone and stomps away. We've tried many things: positive reinforcement, ignoring negativity, working on expressing how he feels, using the simple timeout method, rewarding good behavior, but we always end up back here. Please help. So my take on this right off the bat is your kid is acting like this because you've allowed them to act like this. Now, I feel horrible that your poor kid is going through it, but again, you let them get away with stuff over and over again, they're going to continue to do it. That does not mean that this kid is a bad kid. It sounds like he has these meltdowns because he knows he's going to get a reaction from you. Now, I'm no therapist, I am no expert. This is my one and only. But from what I read, it sounds like it's on you. Something that every parent needs to come to terms with is that your children are a direct reflection of you. So if you want to cry, oh, Susie's having meltdowns all the time, that's because the first few times Susie had a meltdown, she got what she wanted, probably. And now that you're ready to put your foot down, Susie doesn't care. Susie's going to continue to have the meltdown because time after time, you've allowed her to have the meltdown. Now, if you put things into perspective when your child is young, you should already have a parenting plan in place up here. Is he at the age where he throws tantrums yet? No. But when he does, I will tell you from the very first time he throws a tantrum, I will not engage, I will not entertain, and you will be damned if he gets what he wants. It's not happening. I'm not a lawn chair and I don't fold. People always joke about military moms. I've got that mentality. Now, will I be an asshole to my kids? No. But they are going to learn from a very young age that crying does not get you what you want. And again, having a meltdown in public for this person, those are perfect learning opportunities to either let them have their moment right there on the spot, or you pull them out to the car and say, hey, let's calm down. Make it a teaching opportunity. Don't berate them. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just had a meltdown in there. That's how you build resentment. Resentment goes one of two ways. Either you're going to start resenting that kid or that kid's going to start resenting you. But your kids are going to have to learn. But I'm going to wrap that up because, again, I'm no baby expert. I'm no therapist. All I can tell you is how I would have handled it. And that's how I would have handled it. So since this was my first YouTube video, like I said, my content will probably start to develop and grow into maybe something else. But I figured for now we would jump into Reddit stories because, like I said at the beginning, I love a good Reddit story. I love to really get my brain thinking about what would I do in that situation. So today I kind of went over parenting ones, but in the future I think I'm just going to pick different categories and run with them. So I hope that you like Reddit stories, and I hope the ones that I picked weren't too boring. I'm definitely going to do some deeper digging in the future. And let me know what you think about the stories that I read. I think the one talking about having a miserable child was a little crazy to me. But if you want more of my lifestyle content, you can follow me on TikTok at Adrian I Guess. Also on Instagram at Adrian I Guess. I have the same handle anywhere that you could find me, but I really only use Instagram and TikTok. I hope it wasn't too boring, and I will see you next time.